Party's not a party's a man who fights crime, and we're gonna watch him fight for a minute at a time with John and Niall and a guest who doesn't rhyme. It's Bat Minute!
Attention, citizens of Gotham. Welcome to Bat Minute and Robin, the show kicking the ice of Joel Schumacher's incredible, wonderful, amazing masterpiece, Batman and Robin, 1 minute at a time. I am one of your hosts, Niall McGowan.
What? Oh my, that's Freaky Friday. That was only Wednesday.
Yeah.
What's going on?
I wanted to throw people off on this. I should have saved it for Friday, actually.
Yeah.
That would have been more fun.
But here, begging for mercy, is it's me. I'm Niall McGowan. Identity theft is not a joke, John. It affects dozens of people a year.
Dozens! And we are once again joined by our very, very special guest. I'm going with Batman Superfan, because that sounds awesome, Gaz Flint.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, hey, hey. Welcome.
Good to be back to unravel this madness.
I would have loved to have seen Joel Schumacher's version of the Scarecrow to see your reaction. Because I know you love Scarecrow.
It was going to be Nicolas Cage, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's the rumor.
God,
yes. This Batman Unchained.
I don't think he'd have been that bad. The rumors of Jeff Goldblum. As much as I left Jeff Goldblum.
Oh,
no.
That would be good.
No, it wouldn't.
You see Jeff go sinister in The Fly. So I was like, I think he could do that. I think he could.
Yeah.
All right, maybe.
You're forgetting I am like the world's biggest fan of Jeff
Well,
Goldblum.
the thing is, right, so he was planning on making a fifth one, even though he didn't give a crap about anything in this one.
Well, you know,
That's why I was confused hearing that he was gearing up for a fifth. It's like, well, you kind of blew it by not bothering with 4.
Maybe though, you know, sometimes studios just sort of go to you. You've got to do the sequel now. It's like, oh, okay, fine, whatever. So maybe the 5th one was going to be the one he put the F, like that's his passion one. Like, okay, I'm going to spend some time on that one because I've shut them up with this one. But we are here today to talk about minute 5. And I've forgotten to write down what it starts and ends with, so give me 1 second.
It starts with, it's the continuation of the last minute of the shot going over the museum. Gotham Museum of Art. And then we see the inside, and it's got historical artifacts.
Yeah. Are they genuine historical artifacts, or did someone just make this, like, Brachiosaurus?
Well, it's an interesting question, because it's got a name, this collection, which doesn't even make sense to me. It's called The Lost World of Tufa.
Yeah, I've read that.
But it's like, well, what's that? And the production designer said it's all about fusion of cultures.
So it's a history museum.
But a dinosaur isn't a culture? Is there a dinosaur culture? I don't know.
It's just it just confused me and annoyed me. It's like this. So it's not an art museum. It's a history museum. You can't even name the museum properly.
And you know what the dinosaur should have been, right? There's a Brachiosaurus here, I believe, or is it a bronze? Yeah,
it's a brachia. I spent a long time trying to figure this out last night. It's a brachiosaurus.
You know what dinosaur it should have been?
It should have been the T-Rex from Batman, the Batcave. Like, why they didn't? I mean, like, oh, it's the neck's not long enough or whatever. But
that would have been so cool. Like, it would have been a little nod to that. And he doesn't necessarily have to take it with him later. But
it's like, oh, sliding down it was so much fun. I'm taking that back with me.
So thank you for introducing Gaz, because yes, I've made a mountain of notes and forgot to write that note, because this is the minute. I'm so happy I was doing the intro to this, because this is the minute I'm very excited about, because we get to see lots of cool sights and interesting people. Oh, it's going to be on our screen any minute now. But I got a few notes about the actual Museum of Art.
Museum of Art, it's a history museum. But
Yeah.
anyway,
The most infuriating thing for me now, having done this show, is like, there already is a Museum of Art in Gotham.
Yes.
The Flugelheim. We were in it, the first movie. Batman broke through the skylight in that museum as well.
So that's where it gets confusing, isn't it? It's like, well, okay, why didn't they just use that? Or, change the set.
What I would have given to see Mr. Freeze dancing down the stairs. All hail, new king in town. Doing like little swan poses and just like freezing paintings and stuff.
It's bonkers, though. Like, this set is insane. It looks like a theatre production, not a museum as well. Like, this doesn't... I've never been in a museum that looks like this.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
Even without the ice, right? Remove the ice from your vision here. What are we looking at?
We've got a dinosaur and some random big heads and a vase.
Yeah,
that's
it's
the only
out weird.
In the makings of, they talk so passionately about all this stuff as well.
Oh, they love it.
But then it's like, because of the ice, you can't see anything. Like, it's to the detriment of the whole friggin' piece at the end.
And do you know how long it took them to build it? 5 months.
Yes, insane for like, after all that, and then cover it with like plastic ice. And it's like, well, that's all undone now. Like, that's like, all I can see is big friggin' stalactites and stuff hanging about everywhere.
That's another reason you should have took a different approach. Maybe we could have started with Freeze's attack. Like, so he goes there, so you get to see it first.
Yeah,
Freeze arrives, makes a quip, and then we cut to Batman.
This is the thing I've also got right. So we'll just go back. I've got some facts on the set, and it cost them $2 million to make this.
Well, it is massive, isn't it? It's huge.
Yeah.
So I get it.
He walked right. So first thing we see, like the shot panning of it, and it's all already frozen. But then we see Mr. Freeze enter. So as he froze everything, and then be like, "Oh no, wait! I need to go back in there."
He's gone for a smoke.
Well, the thing is, he's on those steps, so maybe he's like, he's just chilling for a moment. But the way they're approaching him, though, is as if they've never seen that. So is this the second wave? Because we were told by Gordon that he's turned the security team into blocks of ice. So I guess these guys now are like, there's multiple layers of security to the not Flugelheim, the Gotham Museum of Art. Flugelheim was a better name too, because it was based on the Guggenheim. It was a bit witty. The Gotham Museum of Art is like, come on, dude, put a bit of effort into it. Like,
it is lazy. It's boring. It's not as fun.
I actually do appreciate the shot of Freeze on the steps, because I just thought like, it's like Gozer is come back now.
Yeah.
It's like, I think we said that at the end of the last movie when Jim Carrey was in that sparkly outfit with the hair. It's like, it's very Gozer-ish. And now I was like, yeah, Joel Schumacher's like, I love the end of Ghostbusters. Like,
Who doesn't?
I want to put that in every movie I make.
As a kid, it's creepy. Like, because I was really into Ghostbusters as a kid, and I was like scared multiple times, and that was one. Like, what a weird scene for a movie like that. Like,
I do kind of want to do
genius.
a video edit of the end of Ghostbusters, and then they're waiting for the figure to appear, and then it just cuts to Mr. Freeze coming out. The Iceman cometh.
And
I get the feeling it wouldn't have the same impact.
No.
Speaking about the museum set in the 90s here, in 97, I've got a quote here. Clooney said, "I walked in and went, 'Jesus, Joel, I'm intimidated.' And Joel's like, 'So am I. It's the biggest thing I've ever seen.'"
Oh. And again, that's Joel Schumacher saying that.
Yeah.
I know,
That means a lot when he says it.
Well, apparently, though, it's supposed to be based on the Field Museum in Chicago when Barbara Ling, returning production designer Barbara Ling. But it's based on when she went there as a child. And she was like, oh, it's so huge. So I wanted to make that feeling. So it's supposed to be, it's that big because it's supposed to make everyone inside it look like they're little children, basically, to evoke that sort of memory she had of seeing, a giant museum, which is nice, I guess. But at the same time, maybe don't code it nice so we can get a look at this thing.
Yeah, because I actually, as big as the set is, when you actually look at it properly, right? I think when you're just watching the movie casually, I don't think it has that feeling. I think it feels a bit small and claustrophobic. Because of the eyes. I think it feels kind of encased, which is what he's done to it. So show us it first.
It should have been like, if we're saying in the novelization there you had in the last minute, you could have had, we're hearing about this thing that's tunneling towards the museum and stuff. Mm-hmm. And then maybe just seeing it arrive, and then the museum's inside is normal, and then you have Mr. Freeze blasting the door open and coming in and freezing everything. And there you go. And then you can continue the scene as normal after that then. Because it's like...
Perfect.
But yeah, this does seem a bit like... it was like, oh, we just didn't think of that. Like, we're just sort of...
Well, I think that'll be a theme throughout all of this movie. Oh yeah, we didn't think of that.
Yeah,
I wondered if they did think that though, because the skylights and stuff. The ones when you're inside kind of look like they're suns, but the one we went through at the beginning of the minute, I was like, is that supposed to be a snowflake? Because it's like, well, it's your intro to Mr. Freeze, so here's a snowflake on the window and stuff.
That's too much thought again, I think.
Yeah.
But this Lost World of Toofer thing as well, I don't get it, right? Because Barbara Ling, again, she said, we invented something called the Lost World of Toofer, which squishes together many world cultures from different eras of history, like 20-foot-tall statues of a Sphinx body with a Tibetan head, or a Mayan head on top of a Mesopotamian body. Why? There's no explanation as to why they've done this. What is it? Because it's kind of meant to be in its own sort of universe. It's not our world, so I don't know.
None of this is actually explained in the film. So anyone just watching the film is just like, why is there a giant dinosaur in the art museum?
Well, that's another thing. Yeah, like you don't want to take time out to explain it because that's boring. But maybe don't put confusing things in there.
Yeah.
But I like the visual of it at the same time. It's weird. I can't wrap my head around. I kind of like it.
To me, it just looks like they thought, oh, what kind of things do you usually find in a history museum?
Like
a dinosaur, a Mayan statue, some old vase. Yeah, put them all in.
It just feels like it could be, if this were like a multiverse of madness scenario or something. So it'd be like, something's happened with time. So all these eras have weirdly blended together or something. And it feels as if like, maybe there was between Returns and Forever, there was some sort of like catastrophic like flashpoint incident or something where Batman had an adventure unseen to us. We're like, oh yeah, time merged with all different, like we didn't put back together properly. So yeah, now everything's really messed up. And what used to be this really dark gothic city is now like drenched in neon and just seems like it's, going to a rave constantly and stuff. And like you go to museums, like things that used to be like, oh, that's a Raphaelite painting and a piece of modern art, are now just blended together. So it's like the Mona Lisa, but she got a freaking a triangle sticking out of her head or something.
I like it. The guards, though, coming up, I like their acting, right? It's a bit of positivity. When they're rushing up to Mr. Freeze, I think they're doing a good job of making it look like they're running on real ice, because it's fake. Yeah. They've made a fake ice. I think they're doing quite well, because you don't look cool and dignified trying to run on ice. Mm. Like recently, it was quite icy when I was on my way to work, and I was literally like in my shoes, having to skate down the street. Like I had to like move my feet like I was in June, like move without rhythm. Like, whoa. It was bizarre. So I think they're doing quite well. They look a bit unsure on their feet. I like these actors.
I guess you would do if a guy like Mr. Freeze suddenly appears. It's not your usual day as a security guard, is it?
Yeah. But then again, this is Gotham.
Mm. Oh, yeah,
and you do get the vibe from Batman's discussion with Gordon, like, okay, yeah, this is like the 25th villain I fought this week. Okay,
yeah. And so again, too, the amount of security I guess maybe I don't know. I just never thought security at a museum would be quite minimal.
Like two guys.
This isn't even the last wave. There's more freaking guards coming after this. Not to get into too much stuff with the efficiency of policemen and made them been a bit too trigger happy. Oh. But these guys are stop or I'll shoot, instantly start shooting.
Yeah, they don't give him a second to stop.
Yeah. I guess so. Again, he has got a pretty friggin' huge bit of hardware on him, so it might be like, just shoot him first anyway, because God knows what this guy's gonna. I guess they're like, he froze the museum, so. Yeah, maybe you want to shoot him right in the face straight away.
I love the way he walks down the stairs towards them. I mean, Arnie, as we all know, I've probably brought it up before, one of my favorites of all time. But the way he walks down the stairs and the bullets are bouncing off him and stuff, it was very Terminator. I got that vibe. He's like, oh, I just want it to be like Terminator again. Because anytime Terminator gets shot, it's the same reaction. It's just kind of like a little flinch. Like, and he's really scary. Just his physical presence. Now, of course, there is the discussion of surely a Terminator shouldn't be an imposing physical presence. They should be undercover. They should look like a normal person, but, that's for another podcast.
But as intimidating as he initially looks, it's soon squashed.
Well, he does his typical Arnie thing, doesn't he? Throughout the whole movie of, I'm going to make jokes.
I've got a lot to say about this.
I've always wondered, does he write them? Does he have someone writing them for him and they insert them in the script? Because it's always the same type of joke. It's very specific to him.
I think it might be that it's a kind of maybe it's an easy kind of joke to write. So every Hollywood writer is like, cracking their knuckles, like I gotta write an Arnie joke.
Perfect, yeah.
I've got it down here at 5 minutes and 23. We've got the Iceman cometh. That was not. Let me try. I can't do it. The Iceman cometh.
I know.
That was again a terrible Arnie impression, but anyway. So 5 minutes 23, we get the first pun of the whole movie, and then 10 seconds later, we get the next.
I would say when he's silent though, he actually is pretty intimidating. Like when he's freezing the guys, it actually is like that kind of zoom into his face. It's like, oh yeah, this is a pretty intimidating. Like beyond all the neon and stuff, it makes him look a little bit silly.
Oh no, I love all that. I think it fits because what the hell is this technology that's keeping him alive? Like, it's not got a real world parallel. I think making it weird and glowing, and that's fine. That's cool.
Yeah.
It's
Although I really love and you don't get it as much throughout the rest of the movie, I think, but because they put in these blue contact lenses on him.
Yeah.
But for some reason in this scene in particular, it makes his eyes look really weird. And they look almost like they're kind of like ball bearings instead of eyeballs.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of what they were planning to do with Keaton's Batman in the first movie, where they wanted to have the mirror slots over his eyes instead. And it's like, yeah, that's I don't know if it's just the lighting in this scene. It's like, we just happen to get that effect, and it's a happy accident or whatever. But it's kind of like, why didn't you keep that up the rest of the movie? But he always does have a weird thing with his eyes the rest of the movie, but it doesn't look as good as it does in this particular scene.
They're scary. They look right through it. I love Freeze in this. I think he's fantastic. It's silly. Of course it's silly. Like, if this was in Tim Burton's Batman, this exact character, it wouldn't work. It'd be stupid. It would be ridiculous. But he fits the tone. I can see why they went with Arnie. It's like, we're going to do a campy, silly, sort of 60s style movie. Who do you get? Like, this is perfect cast.
Yeah.
And, I'm going to like Arnie no matter what. I don't think I've ever not liked him. I'm racking my brain. Have I ever not liked him in a movie?
Well, I think everything post this. I don't think.
No, I love all of it. All of it. In fact, I brought up last week Maggie. If you've not seen that, guys, to me, that's a masterpiece.
Is that Arnie? I don't think I've even
Arnold
heard of that.
Schwarzenegger in a zombie movie.
And it's very low budget. It was it's him. It's a serious drama. He's doing serious acting in it and stuff. It's about it's a bit unpleasant to watch nowadays because it's about the pandemic when the virus turns people into zombies basically, and his daughter, who's the little girl from Little Miss Sunshine, but she's 20 or something now. She's slowly turning into a zombie, and he's trying to. It's just Arnie coming to grips with the fact that his daughter's dying, basically.
Yeah, it's all about his grief.
Yeah, and it's just he brings it. He's like, I am here to sell the crap out of Arnold Schwarzenegger, serious actor. Yep. It happened.
No action. There might be one bit. Is there one bit where he has to kill a zombie? I don't even know if there is.
Is this a new film?
What, about 5 years ago?
Okay.
Yeah, 2015, I think.
It's great. I love it, love it, love it. It's very emotional, though, so don't watch it if you've had a bottle of wine. You'll be crying.
Got to jump into it, though. So he does all these ice puns.
Yeah.
So The Simpsons, 4 years before this, as you'll know, they had McBain in break out of the ice sculpture in Last Exit to Springfield, season 4, episode 17. And say, ice to see you. And that, again, was a parody of Arnie. And now he's copying from a parody of himself.
I like that. He's got a bit of self-awareness, I think. I mean, you saw it in Last Action Hero. He knows he's silly.
I think that's what we're saying, though. You're putting out, Austin Powers in the previous minute, and this is I think maybe that's what hurt this at the time. Because in the the cultural ether, that was the kind of thing you'd take the piss out of because it was so dated. And so they're making that in 97, and it's just like everyone's like, this is old hat now. Like, we're already making fun of this. And like, but nowadays it's kind of like, oh yeah, it's like a goofy throwback, and it's sort of, it might land with people better because they're like, oh yeah, it's not a trope that's been done to death anymore. It's had breathing room. So it's like, oh, it's like a fun, like retro kind of thing.
This is the film that did it to death.
I mean, yes,
this is the film where there was just more puns than anyone needed. And not only is it Arnie who's constantly quipping with ice puns, the rest of them are doing puns. Uma Thurman later in the movie is doing plant puns. And it's just like,
and I love it.
It's
She's
just
like a drag
spread.
queen.
I've got an interesting fact though, right? So I did some maths,
Oh.
right?
I
So
didn't know maths would come into this.
right, so you can put it in YouTube and you can see there's a supercut of all the freeze puns from this movie. Someone's edited them all together.
Amazing.
And you can watch it and it will destroy your mind a little bit. But anyway, there's just under 4 minutes of freeze puns in this movie when they're all edited together. So the budget for the entire movie was 160 million, the production budget.
Mm-hmm.
And the movie is 125 minutes long. So if you divide that on average, it would have cost 1.28 million to make 1 minute of film. So with 4 minutes purely for freeze puns, that's about 5 million it cost just to film freeze puns.
I can imagine someone telling Arnie about that and him chomping a cigar going like, it was totally worth it.
Well, not only that, so Arnie was paid 25 million and there's 27 freeze puns. So that's nearly 1 million a freeze pun.
Worth it. Worth it. I would have doubled it.
I like that too, because it's Arnie constantly having to, like, you know, at this point he's the biggest star in the world, kinda, but it's on the wane.
This is where it's starting to go, yeah.
Yeah, but remember, I think we talked about last movie, wasn't it in 1996, Jim Carrey was the highest paid actor for the cable guy, because he got 20 million up front for that.
Oh.
And now Arnie, not one to be outdone, was like, boom, you want Mr. Freeze, 25 mil.
As much as I love Arnold Schwarzenegger, right, and despite being a leftist red, he is all about the money. And in his book, he won't, hide that fact. He's like, yeah, I just want to make loads of money. So I could fully see him going, I'll do it, but you got to pay me more.
Do you know, though, and this made me feel a bit bad, although I guess maybe it's like indicative of the effort made, because Arnie gets 25 mil. You know what Clooney gets for this movie?
He got 1 million, didn't he?
Yeah, 1 million.
That's insane.
And then, but it gets, so you think, and that's bad. Michael Keaton for the first movie got 5 million. So he's like, it's a proven franchise. Like the last, Batman Forever, big hit. And like George Clooney, one of the titular characters, he's getting paid less than the guy who did it in the first movie when they didn't know whether it was going to work or not.
Well, maybe that explains his performance or lack
I know,
of.
I was about to say that. Arnie does look like he's putting 25 times more effort in than George Clooney.
Oh, Arnie is really going for it. He's putting so much because he loved doing it, apparently. Like, he's obsessed with this character.
Uma Thurman seems to know how stupid it is and she's hamming it up.
Yeah.
George Clooney looks like he doesn't even care, and then the others it's wasted effort.
So it's weird, though, that Clooney has that attitude, because this is supposed to be his bouncing board into big screen stuff. So you think he's just like, I could put a bit more effort in, but he's just like, you know what? I ain't giving this the time of day.
I'm sure you'll be able to talk about all this later. But I watched the movie last night just to refresh it, and I was shocked at how bad he is. Of all the things, you wouldn't think that George Clooney would be the worst thing about this film, but he is. Well, no, he's not the worst thing, but he's not one of the best.
Oh, we still love you, George. You're still Batman. In an interview with THR, the Hollywood Reporter, look at me, I'm using insider terms, makeup artist Jeff Dawn recalled the elaborate process of getting Schwarzenegger into this costume. And aside from all the makeup and stuff, right, it also required a complicated LED system in his mouth
Oh yeah, because his mouth's glowing, isn't it?
Because his mouth's glowing. And it included a very dangerous placement of the LED batteries.
Tape them to his tonsils there.
Well, the makeup guy said, when you put it in Arnold's mouth, Arnold's saliva would creep into the seams of this thing and attack the batteries. The batteries would immediately start disintegrating and start putting out battery acid into Arnold's mouth.
Jesus.
As you can imagine, no one wants to swallow battery acid. And Arnold was upset, so he started shouting, "It tastes like shit! What is this in my mouth?"
Imagine that level of risk was like, Arnie started this movie at $15 million for the role, and then it got bumped up to 25 for every drop of acid that went into it.
Yeah. It's insane. It's like, can you not come up with a different, less dangerous way to light his mouth?
I think it's only certain moments when his mouth's glowing, which is a bit...
Yeah. I assume they only put it in for those bits, though, surely, right?
Yeah, I think it must be like when he's in attack mode, kind of. It's like when you really notice that. But you kind of feel as well, though, you could have got the same effect if you just like snapped up a glow stick and just had like
that's probably dangerous in your mouth.
Yeah, but still, that better battery acid. Like, jeez.
I like the way that even Arnold Schwarzenegger's saliva is masculine. It's eating the batteries.
Couldn't help but come in and attack the batteries.
They came up with a solution, though, in the form of a simple balloon that they placed around the light. But then the only problem was it would keep going out. It would last 20 minutes. So they'd have to stop. He has another quote saying, Arnold is sitting there in this incredibly comfortable suit, because apparently it was comfy to wear, and it's costing us $5,000 a minute to wait to change the battery.
It just seems now you're putting more and more stuff in Arnie's mouth. It's like, you got a cat in to chase the rat. You got
It's ridiculous.
He's going to like fucking Brando in The Godfather. It's like you can't understand what he's saying.
Oh, it's absurd. This whole thing fascinated me as well, because Arnie wanted to keep the suit, but the studio said no. For some reason, they wanted to claim ownership of it. But I assume they thought, well, it's going to be a big thing. Like, maybe we can put it in. People want to see it. I don't know. But they compromised.
It's probably just in a warehouse somewhere, isn't it?
Oh, no. Oh, it's better than that. They compromised. Arnold has the suit. He keeps hold of it on loan for an annual fee that he still pays to this day.
What?
Yep. But it's a pointless amount. It's $1 a year they charge him, which I assume is to legally make it a rental for the paperwork,
Yeah.
But it's just hilarious thinking that is somewhere on his budget. It's like, that comes up on the paperwork.
Yeah. Every year, like, he'd be in the middle of like a fight with his family, and someone knocks the door, and it's just like a guy from Warner Brothers. He's like, gonna have the wallet, like a crumpled old dollar. There you go. Leave me alone.
It's amazing. He loved it so much. He just was like, I need the suit. And speaking to the Hollywood Reporter in 2015, so quite recent, the producer, Peter McGregor Scott, said Arnold Schwarzenegger wanted the costume. It went all the way up to the top of the studio. He had to sign a contract, and I think he pays $1 a year to borrow it. The lights in those costumes last 9,000 hours. He doesn't have them on all day long, but he does turn them on frequently. I love it. It's like he has people around for drinks. He's like, hey, come and see this. Come on.
I think it's like every time he's getting frisky, he's like, the wife's just like, Arnie, turn on the suit.
That name again is Mr. Freeze.
But then it takes him 5 hours to get into the thing every time.
Arnold, could you put the suit on? Anything for you.
I feel so hot. Well, why don't I make you feel cold?
This minute, though, it just encapsulates how crazy this movie is.
Oh, yeah. It absolutely does.
That's the thing, too, because I was hoping maybe there's some thought put into... Because, the Iceman cometh. I was like, because I've never looked into what the Iceman cometh. I know it's a play. And I was like, I wonder if there's any form of intertextual reference going on here. And no. It's a Eugene O'Neill play, written in 1939, published in 1946. And it explores illusion and hope as antidotes to the natural conditions of despair. And basically, it's all about a bunch of alcoholics and prostitutes hanging around like an old bar.
Oh, this sounds like my weekends. Okay.
And this guy shows up who are like, oh yeah, he's a big spender. Like, this guy's good fun. He arrives, and it turns out he's cleaned up his whole life and stuff. And he's like, no, I'm going to help you. All you people, fulfill your dreams. All those plans you keep making, and then you're just too lazy to ever get moving. I'm going to help you out. And so it's going through all the different characters, and this guy is so hopeful and so optimistic and stuff. And it turns out at the end, he's actually killed his wife a couple of hours beforehand. And the police, and he kind of breaks down. It's all been a sort of... And apparently the reason he killed his wife is because he kept cheating on her. And then she wouldn't break up with him because she loved him so much. So he killed her to spare her the pain of his constant philandering.
Jesus.
And then apparently at the end, he prays for the death penalty because he realizes that people need like illusions and hope that will never get fulfilled to keep them going in life. And now that he knows that that's all crap, he just wants to die. Oh. And it's like, I was kind of like, maybe you could say that's, the whole idea of hope and keeping hope alive is like Mr. Freeze with Nora and stuff.
Yeah, I
can
can see the connection.
Yeah,
but it's like, I don't think that's what they're going for. I think they're like, yeah, that's a name that people know. The Iceman cometh, right? Although it makes it sound that he's getting like, he's frozen guy. He's like, oh, the Iceman cometh.
Yes. Oh.
We see a tear. I'm secreting a tear later, so we know fluids still come out of that body. We don't know what's going on underneath, like whether that freezes when he.
But we get my favorite line in the whole film. The whole film.
Do it.
Because the one guard that he's captured begs for mercy. And to me, it's the greatest Arnold delivery of all time. Mercy? I am afraid that my condition has left me cold to your pleas of mercy.
Yeah, but doesn't he emphasize cold?
Yeah.
Oh, of course. Yeah,
of course. I should have written that in bold. When I wrote this.
It is like, it's just how like bulked he is. Like, mercy. It's like, how dare you ask for mercy?
It's so ridiculous. It's beautiful. It's masterful.
Also should note as well, in terms of everything's connected, before we move off the Iceman cometh, a film version was made in 1973 by John Frankenheimer, who people might recall directed The Island of Dr. Moreau, which we just reviewed there, with Val Kilmer. With, him and Joel Schumacher both hated Val Kilmer, so everything's connected.
Yeah, at that time, there is a trend for people hating Val Kilmer, let's be honest.
But this guy, though, the mercy cop, like, oh, please. And that's a guy who knows what he's in. He's acting like, goofy children's TV character. Like, we've met this guy before. This is John Fink, who was the not Chief O'Hara, who was on top of the building with Gordon at the near the climax of Batman Forever.
Oh, is it the same character?
I don't think it's the same character, because it could be the same character, because maybe he got, like, busted down from, like, proper cop to security guard.
Yeah, or maybe he thought, like, this, with all these crazy crooks around, I don't want to be a cop anymore. I'm going to take that job that's going at the museum.
It could be as well, because he was the guy who was memorably, when the giant question mark appeared in the sky, was like, who do you think is doing that? Gordon was like, the Riddler. So he might have been like, you know what? Your monthly evaluation's like, no, you're never going to make detective, buddy. Like, you're fired.
Who else is going to make the big question mark? Oh, I don't know.
So like, busted down to security guard duty.
You'll be busted down so fast.
That makes perfect sense.
Not even at the Flugelheim. He had to go to the old Gotham Museum of Art. And they don't even have art in there. They just have freaking stuff from, like, random artifacts. But yeah, John Fink, we did talk about him a little bit last season, but, like, people don't remember. He's a frequent Joel Schumacher guy. Like, they met up on Flatliners, and he's in pretty much every Joel Schumacher movie since. He played Jim Carrey's dad in the number 23, which we talked about there a while back too. Memorable things that are connected is that he's in Bronk, which I believe we did talk about because I remember saying Bronk.
Yeah, it sounds like a noise, doesn't it?
But with Jack Palance, of course, our beloved Carl Grissom, and he's also in Who is the Black Dahlia, which is, a TV movie from the 70s about, like, the Black Dahlia murder. But it stars Ephraim Zimbalist, who did the voice of Alfred in Batman the Animated Series. And they also made a Black Dahlia movie that was terrible. Brian De Palma quite recently. Well, it's quite recently, like 15 years ago now. But that starred Aaron Eckhart. of course, played Harvey Dent in The Dark Knight. So, hashtag everything's connected.
You know, there's a building in Manchester that has everything's connected written on the side.
What?
Oh, man.
I'll take a photo and send it to you next time I go past it. It's
Get
near
it in the
Piccadilly
group.
Station.
Yeah, that just go to Manchester someday when things are safer. Just go up and take my pictures next to it.
So we're going to do a live show in Manchester because clearly our fan base is there.
We still look at that live episode on the Joker boat in Liverpool.
Mr. Freeze spies a diamond. He wants that, baby. We don't know
I think
why
we get
yet.
our first hint of original music from Elliot Goldenthal, which is kind of a little bit of a problem with his score for this time around. And again, it could be to do with the fact that it was so rushed. Because this was, Gaz, you might be shocked to hear this, but everyone involved in the production has said, like, yeah, maybe we should have taken like another year before we actually released this, like, because it just sort of made Forever A Time to Kill, which is like 2.5 hour dark legal drama. And as they were making that, they were also setting up production for Batman and Robin, and it came out like Forever's 95, A Time to Kill is 96, this is 97, so it came out insanely quickly, like off the heels of like 2 other movies, and Elliot Goldenthal's like the opening theme identical to Forever. All the music going in like da 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 da. It's like that's all from Batman Forever. So this little tinkly bit of music is like, oh, finally he's written some new stuff for this. Like, Jesus Christ! It was if he just took his old demos from Batman Forever. It's like, yeah, just use those. Like that'll be great.
I've got some facts about Brachiosauruses. Do you want me to say them now or leave them to the next minute?
The Brachiosaurus features most prominently, I think, in the next
we'll
one.
leave it for the next one.
Well, we get we get the start of a line. He goes, "In this universe, there is only one absolute." But we have to wait until the next minute to know what that is. What's the one absolute? I think you're going to be disappointed with the answer.
I think we can guess what it might be.
I don't know if I made what my thing is clear yet.
do you get what I'm doing here? The whole eyes.
So 5 minute 23 in, we get the first pun. 10 seconds later, we get the second pun. And then 20 seconds after that, we get the third pun.
Yeah. I'm starting to think they're too spread apart. I think we need rapid fire. We need every 15 seconds I want a pun.
This is why I requested these minutes, because I just wanted to get in early with the insanity that is this film.
Yeah, and it'll either work for some people or not. I think it's a very polarizing movie. People either get into the camp
polar.
Oh
my God, it's catching. It's like infectious.
I should have pretended that was deliberate.
Just
polarizing. You will find me a very polarizing figure.
That's shocking. That's one that isn't used in the film. Joel Schumacher coming back from the graves, like, we missed one. Oh, I didn't realize there was another joke we could have put in.
No,
George Lucas style.
Oh no, it'd be Akiva Goldsman coming back and being like, "Oh no, I need to add this to my next crap."
The Goldsman cut.
Oh God, that would just be 2 hours of sick on screen.
Gaz, there's another pun in the script. In the
what?
Yeah, they missed one. They cut one. When Freeze says, my condition has left me cold to your pleas of mercy, he freezes the guy. He goes up and taps his cheek and goes, Copsicle.
Oh, why?
You see, though, Gaz, you see the way you laughed at that? That's what they're going for. And it worked. It got a laugh out of you.
Yeah, they cut that one to get straight onto the next line.
Oh.
It's a shame. That's Copsicle.
Well, I've got it here. So this place is already frozen. So as we've discussed, he must have already been here.
Mm-hmm.
So then he freezes the case with the diamond in it to take the diamond. It's like, why didn't he do that the first time?
He was too busy. He didn't see it.
It seems as if he's only just noticed the diamond. He has a kind of moment of like, go? Like, oh, there it is.
Well, is he attacking because he's looking for that? Or like, is that a deliberate thing?
Oh, no, I think he's specifically there for the diamond.
Yeah, but he looks surprised to see it. Like, oh, a diamond.
It's so like it's as one of my favorite all-time Simpsons moments. I bring it up constantly, but again, it reminded me of when Homer's making Mr. Burns' breakfast, and he tries to put on the microwave, and he just smashes it with his elbow and sticks his hand in. It's like, you don't need to go over and freeze the thing. You can just, like, I know it's a diamond and it's like virtually indestructible, but still.
Like, yeah, but this is my thing. This is what I do.
I should also mention as well, because the Copsicle himself is out of there. In the novelization, they gave this guy a backstory, kind of like they did in the beginning of the Forever novelization, where you had a whole build-up with the guard going to check Two-Face's room. And then, that guy got killed. And of course, this guy, thing is, actually, all these cops, we find out later, 11 minutes, you got the thaw out these people. They're all dead. Like, these people are, no one's running to go get them out. Like, those cops are all dead.
They must be. You can't unfreeze. They're frozen. Well, we see someone gets unfrozen, a certain hero. That wouldn't work, surely, right?
I think that's when even Batman learns that he's got 11 minutes, as Mr. Freeze specifically tells him. So it is kind of like, I guess all those people back at the museum, like, they're long gone. Like, that's a pretty horrible way to die. So, but yeah, that cop is actually called Clayton in the novelization, which is weirdly appropriate because George Clooney was in the movie playing the character Michael Clayton in the film Michael Clayton. So it's a bit of eerie foresight they had going on there. But hashtag everything's connected.
Well,
Okay.
I'm just thinking, if this cop has got a backstory and then he's immediately killed. And again, that's another Austin Powers comparison when they're giving all the henchmen backstories for them only to get killed.
I love that bit where the guy it like cuts to his like bachelor party or something, or at Hooters.
Yeah.
That's ingenious.
As he was eaten alive by an ill-tempered mutated sea bass. But also, an additional everything's connected, of course, in case anyone's shouting at their phone or whatever. George Clooney is in Michael Clayton. Tom Wilkinson, who played Carmine the Roman Falcone in Batman Begin, is also in Michael Clayton. So there you go. We covered it. Don't worry.
Hashtag everything's connected. That'll please the Manchester crowd.
They're the toughest demographic to get.
Yeah.
So once you get them, you got to keep your claws in there.
All they're here for is the connections. They're not interested in any of the other discussions, so we have to throw them in all the time. That's why we've been doing it the whole time.
Did you hear how that John Fink guy links up to George Clooney? Oh my God, I couldn't believe it.
But I'm all noted out for this minute.
Yes.
Yes, so we will depart. We'll head into the dark, dark night. So just come and join us on all the social media, whatever. Buy a t-shirt on TeePublic. So join us again on Friday for more Bat Minute and Robin.
Next time, Yabba Badda Doo. The bat of bedrock blasts in to say hi and turns a dino's hide into a surprise slip and slide. But while the Dark Knight does a Flintstone off a brachial backbone, will a crystal-stealing sleet slinger surprise us by showing he's not alone? We'll have a gay old time on Friday. Same Bat Pod, different Bat Minute. We'll be back.